she has another nice bit of acting, and I like this line of dialogue, this moment she has with her son, where she's trying to break him down, trying to get him to open up a little more, and she's, you know, touching his head and you know, hugging him and giving him affection and telling him all these things about, you know, it's going to be okay. And she says this one line of dialogue I really like. She's like, you know, it's going to be okay, Johnny. You know, there's bad people in this world, but there's more good people than there are bad people in this world, Johnny. It's going to be okay. And that's when he finally lets go of the Voltron toy, and she grabs it and she puts it and she hugs him in a loving embrace. And I like that moment. I mean, because it's true. You know, there are really, at the end of the day, there are more good people than there are bad people. Because this film works with the whole sort of, and there are a lot of moments, especially in this hotel sequence, everything's starting to sink in, and you're starting to feel really pervading a sense of dread in the film. And you're like, is there any escape? Really, there is nowhere to hide. And because when you piss off the wrong person, or you have something that somebody is who's very powerful and has pull a lot of strings, you know, when they want that, or you know, look at the person wrong, and they have this power that they can just get rid of you at the snap of a finger, it's terrifying. It's really frightening, because there is nowhere to hide. You just screw up, you don't even know it, and the next thing you know, you're gone, you're missing, you never existed. And that's really terrifying. That's even more scary than, for example, you know, your worst nightmare. More scary than Freddy Krueger, anything Freddy Krueger can come up with, because this is real stuff. You mess with the wrong people and they have the right connections, they can make you disappear. And that's really scary. But I like the moment where she has her son and says, those people, there aren't as many of those people as there are good people in this world. I thought that was a nice, poignant little touching moment. But after that, the assassins show up, more suspense. She turns the tables on them, though, takes the bomb that they put underneath her car, puts it underneath their car, flips the switch as soon as they get in the car, blows them to smithereens. And then after that, she ends up trying to find a safe house, find some, you know, some peace and a little bit of quiet and also safety with a friend of hers and a friend of her husband's, a character named Ben, who's played by Michael Ironside. And Michael Ironside in this film doesn't play a bad guy, which is a welcome surprise. And he doesn't have a really big part, maybe about 20 minutes total, maybe, or less than that of running time for him. But I thought he did a good job for what he had to do. And so he lets her stay in his cabin. That's when she realizes that her son has this piece of, you know, helicopter. She gives it to Michael Ironside. He figures out what's going wrong with it. And the kid, though, he kind of has he has a very absent-minded moment where he grabbed one of the tracers that was underneath her car and he flips it on. And so before he goes to bed. And I'm not really going to blame the kid because he's a shell shock. You just saw his son. He saw his father shot in front of him. He's really damaged right now. And he's just a kid. But he didn't know better. But at the same time, him not knowing better basically led a group of assassins to Ben's place. And they attack. They start shooting the place up. Ben, you know, puts Johnny underneath the, you know, in a floorboard underneath the cabin. It definitely a lot sort of like the same way that in Nowhere to Hide, in Quite Cool, that James Remar hit his girlfriend. And what happened? Hid the other kid. Hid the girlfriend. I think hid her son or her cousin. And what happens is, firefight happens. Ironside goes out, shoots a couple guys with a shotgun, shoots some people with bow and arrows, and some cool moments. You think he might be down for the count after he gets shot, but he gets back up, shoots a guy with an arrow right in the chest, you know, after he killed one of his dogs. Amy Madigan gets involved. Barbara shoots a couple guys. She shoots a gas tank, blows some guys, you know, up, lights a dude on fire. Then after you think everybody's, you know, been wiped out, you know, shot up, Cutter and Ben have, you know, saved the day. He detonates the rope bridge that there's a bunch of bad guys on, and they get blown up, lit on fire, and sent falling into the river below. And you think everything's fine, and he goes into the cabin to go check on Johnny, and then the door opens, and it's a bad guy. You know, I guess he didn't kill everybody. There's nobody he missed, and he gets shot. And you're thinking, oh no, it's going to be one of those, let's get hairy, kind of like Robert Duvall's character, doesn't die like a bitch. No, what really happens though, and this is what made me accept Michael Ironside's character dying in this film is after he gets shot, he gets right back up, grabs the motherfucker, puts him on puts the guy on the couch and breaks his neck. So I just thought that was, you don't see that very often, where you think someone's going to die and then they don't. They get back up, they deliver one last blow, because he's like, I'm Michael Ironside. You don't shoot me. You think you killed me? No, I'm going to kill you. You're going to stare into my eyes while I break your fucking neck, and then, I'm going to send you to hell. I'm going to bring you to hell with me. That's how this is going to work out. You're not going to run away and, tell your friends about it. No, you're going to hell with me. So I thought it was a nice touch. You usually don't see that very often in films, especially with this nature, especially with sort of a lesser-known character who only has maybe about 15 minutes of screen time. So I like that. So, but this kid Johnny's going to have a lot of problems because two father figures he could have had just literally die in succession, right in front of him. So Ironside dies. The bad guys take the kid. Madigan shows up. She's too late. She gets in a truck, tries to get away, tries to find her kid. She ends up getting captured, leads her to this, airfield base or whatever. Actually, before she gets captured, she goes in. She actually turns herself in later. After she loses her son, she goes to a bar where she meets up with her, the Marine helicopter pilot guys, shows them the evidence, the helicopter, the faulty helicopter part, and then she heads off, turns herself in to get her son back. And then you have this crowd pleasing moment where after she's like, "Give me my son," and they, give us the helicopter piece. She gives him the helicopter piece, and they give it to her son. It's like, "Can you just let us go? Can you just make this be over?" And it's like, "What? Do you think we're stupid? No, And then she the crowd pleasing moment. Yeah, she's like, she basically reveals that she has a wire on, and she says, "Yeah, well, I got the whole thing. I got everything now." So, what? And it's just like, and you hear helicopters flying in the background, and then she says, "Those are Marine helicopter pilots, and you don't want to fuck with them." And they're like, "Yeah!" And then they start flying around. They don't really shoot up some guys. That's kind of disappointing. They don't shoot up the bad guys. Some of them run away. And the main bad guy gets in a limo and runs over some of his own men to get away. One of the helicopters lands, basically picks up her son, cut her son. Then she gets in with the helicopter, chases after the bad guy, who was one of her commanding officers in the military, chases after him. She arms the weapons. She shoots at him a couple times. She misses. But what happens is he gets out of his car and shoots her, shoots the helicopter. The helicopter goes down. Of course, she's not down for the count. She gets back up, chases the guy some more. He goes flying off a cliff. She arms a missile and blows him up before, in midair. In an awesome crowd-pleasing moment. And then the film ends with her, basically trying to pick up the pieces of her life with their son and moving on. And yeah, and then that's the end of the movie. It's an hour and 30 minutes, goes by really quick. Like I said, the only middle moments where it kind of drags is when you have, introducing Michael Ironside's character and what's going on with him, which is about an hour into the film. But then it's interesting enough because Michael Ironside, I think he's a great actor, and it was really entertaining and interesting to see him play that type of role. So, but like I said, ultimately, this is a type of film, though, folks. If you're looking for balls-to-the-wall action, you're not going to get that. It's more of an action thriller, a little bit leaning more on the thriller aspect of it. And is it a perfect film? No. Like I said, there's some pacing problems. Some of the acting isn't the greatest in the world. The intrigue isn't really. There's really not that much intrigue because the twists and turns in the plot are very predictable. But I thought it was entertaining. I thought it was enjoyable. I thought it had a very strong performance by Amy Madigan that made it more than worth my while. And definitely one of the best films that I've seen that has a female lead in an action film. So, definitely, it's not Aliens, but a lot of things aren't Aliens. But I would definitely put this, up there with, Linda Hamilton's performance in T2. And, this is definitely more of, Amy Madigan's film than necessarily T2 was Linda Hamilton's, because in the end of the day, it's still Arnold's film. But here, she's the lead. You don't see that very often. She's tough. She's resourceful. It definitely reminds me a little bit kind of like maybe First Blood with sort of with the sort of maternal sort of Aliens vibe. And it says female Rambo flick, Rambo with brains on the back of this VHS, but she isn't really anything like Rambo, really. More First Blood, I guess, but not like Rambo First Blood Part 2. But at the end of the day, this is a really satisfying film. I thought it was definitely more than satisfying. I thought it was excellent at points. For what it was, I thought it was really great. I would highly recommend if you can find a copy of it. And I would definitely, you know, if it sounds interesting to you, try to give it a look if you can find a copy anywhere. And I guess the only thing I can say about Nowhere to Hide is if it was rated out of 5 stars, probably give it 4 out of 5, because there's that little pacing issues. At the end of the day, the action isn't super memorable, but it is good for what it is. And also, there's a main thing that you never find out what the big deal was with the faulty helicopter parts, why they were faulty, why the military decided to kill their own men, you know, with faulty helicopter parts. You don't know. That's never explained, and that kind of bugged me a little bit and knocked it down a little bit. Because it would be nice to tie up that loose end, but it never does. So that's kind of a bummer. But other than that, taut, suspenseful, well thought out action thriller. Yeah, that's Nowhere to Hide. Definitely recommend this book if you like these type of, you know, 80s action flicks and you've never heard of it or it sounds interesting to you. I would definitely recommend it. So anyway, thanks for watching my review of Nowhere to Hide, and I will see you guys later. See ya.